Yeah. So, namaste, a very happy Wildlife Week, and welcome to the YPS celebrations of Wildlife Week. Today, we have a presentation by Kedar Bhide ji. And before we start with the presentations and everything, I would like to give you a little, information about the happenings and what is going to happen for this week. So initially we started on the third, started the celebration on the third with a presentation by Mr. Jitender Govindani. And then the second day we had a presentation by Head Satish, who is here, of course. And then yesterday we had a macro walk in celebration of Wildlife Week with Satish taking the lead again. And today is the fourth day of a celebration. And before we start with this, I request all the members to watch the presentation on the big screen, not on your phone. Please log in on your laptop or your desktop, even for a better, you can enjoy the pictures better. And I also request everybody to keep their mics muted and their videos turned off for now. Once we start with the question and answers, then of course you can always turn on your video and your mic. And Kedarji, would you like the questions to come as and when you show the slides or at the end of the session?
I will prepare at the end of the session.
Okay, so I request everybody to just write your questions in the chat, and then at the end of the session, we can take it up. If you don't want to write, you can always unmute at the end of the session and then ask the question yourself. And to tell you about the upcoming sessions, tomorrow, that is on the 7th, we have a session by Mr. Sangram Govardhane titled My Wild Quest for Creative Satisfaction. And then on the 8th, we have another session by Mr. Praveen P. Mohandas called titled Birds. Now, both the sessions start at 5:30 in the evening, and the links will be shared with everyone. And I'll add the link for tomorrow's session here in the chat box as well, so that anybody who's interested, you can please copy that and save it and join us tomorrow with that using that link. And then after that, yes,
Mr.
Satish.
Sangram Govardhan is here today with us.
Yes, yeah. Oh, that's wonderful. That's so wonderful. Good to know that. Welcome to our sessions, Sangramji. And then on the 11th, we have our YPS
Thank you,
International
ma'am.
Salon. Yeah. We have the YPS International Salon exhibition and award ceremony. The exhibition is starting on Saturday, and on the same day at 3 p.m., we have another very interesting presentation by Mr. Anant Murthy, which is titled Namibia, a journey through untamed landscapes and wild beauty. So we can all join him on that journey. It will be at the Karnataka Chitrakala Parishad at 3 p.m. It is in the basement hall, that's the Devraj Urs Hall. So please be there to join the journey to Namibia. And then on the 12th, 11 a.m. onwards, we will be having the award ceremony. And at the award ceremony, we will also be honoring members who have earned distinctions, international distinctions during the year 2024 and 2025. So please be there. If you're a distinction holder, please be there to receive your memento. And
Prema,
after that,
sorry to interrupt you. 23, 24, not 24, 25. Distinction holders. 2023
oh,
and
yeah, sorry, 20 for the year 2023 and 2024, not the 2025. 2025 will be next year. They'll be getting it then. And and after that, the end of the month, this month has been packed programs. So again, on the 25th and 26th of October, we are going to have a workshop on montage photography, which will be mentored by Mr. Adit Agarwala, the past president of Federation of Indian Photography. So he'll be mentoring this workshop. Registrations are going to open tomorrow. So there's a limited number of seats, just 12 members. Please watch out for that. So that's about for the programs that we are going to have, the upcoming programs. Now let's come back to today's program, Witness to the Wild, Encounters Across Habitats. So this is going to be presented by Mr. Kedar Bhide. He says solitude, patience, and wild encounters. So the presentation, Witness to the Wild, shares 3 decades of photography across habitats where light and life meet. And just for a very brief introduction of Mr. Kedar Bhide, I think he is a man of few words. It looks like that because he's given us a very brief introduction of himself. I'm sure Satish will be able to add more to this. We'll let him do that. So let me read out this. Kedar Bhide is a wildlife photographer, ecologist, environmental health expert, archival fine art printer, and advocate for snake conservation and reducing snakebite fatalities. For over 30 years, he has been exploring forests, mountains, deserts, skies, and waters. There's nothing else left out. So he's searching for moments where light and life intersect. Witness to the Wild is his ongoing photography journey, capturing encounters with nature to create images that showcase resilience, fragility, and stillness. And now, Satish, would you like to add a little to his introduction because you know him personally and
Actually, you have given a brief details. I think uh, you have left one this thing that last time he had given a slide presentation on underwater photography.
oh
So that
yes,
was a fantastic session we had with him. And this is the second presentation in YPS. And he is very friendly and very well known in the uh, photographic fraternity, in not only in Mumbai but also all over India. Because whenever I go here and there, people keep talking about him, his photography, and his printing also. And recently, when last month when I was in Mumbai, Mr. Vimal Parmar was having a very high price about his work. And in fact, he only told me, in case if there is any programs in your YPS you are searching, you please call Kedar Bhide. So immediately I told Mr. Kedarji that you must come for this wildlife week.
Mhm.
So he is very well known in the photography field, and I should thank him for accepting our invitation to come to YPS. And I also look forward to his talks in the future. Thank you so much, Kedarji.
Yeah. Thank you, Sateshji, for
So
inviting me also.
Yes,
to
our
be
pleasure.
precise, his presentation, Underwater Macro, Taking Oceans to People's Heart, it was called. It was on 10th December 2022. We had a Google Meet then. So that was when we had wonderful pictures. I still remember those pictures so well.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Prema.
Thank you again for coming back to us with your pictures, sir.
Yeah.
So now, yeah, the stage, not the stage, the screen is all yours.
Thank you, Premaji. I think I will switch off my video. That is not needed. So,
No, no, no. Please stay on the video because then we can relate to you talking about with
okay.
this one.
Okay.
Yeah, the rest of us will go off the video.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
Sure. So every photo starts with being present. just taking a moment to see what's right in front of us. The wild isn't somewhere far away. It's all around us. Like this particular photo is the northern pintails, quite a common migratory bird in our wetlands across India. So wild is all around us. It's only about how we see it. You know, uh, we don't need to go really far away to any kind of seeing wildlife in India today. So good evening, and thank you for being here. For the past 3 decades, I have been wandering through forests, mountains, deserts, wetlands, coastal areas with my camera, searching, waiting, listening. Photography for me has never been only capturing an image. It has been about learning how to see and just as patient enough to let the world reveal itself. My intent in my photography of last 3 decades is always to merge art and ecology, to see and share the wild as both beauty as well as facts and truth. You can't, always only show the beauty, but you have to also show the fact and truth. That's always my motto was. So I started my photography 30 years ago only for one objective, that was for photographing snakes. You know, I was studying snakes. My postgraduate was in applied biology, and I was studying snakes a lot during those 2 decades back. And so the camera I brought only to photograph snakes first. You know, so I was only taking identification and documentation shots of snakes first. Like I will show you, you know like this kind of, where my encounter started with the snakes with the image as record. The goal is clarity, accuracy, and truth. No kind of creativity or nothing. Showing the subject as it was in its place at that particular moment. So my whole objective earlier was starting with this. My earlier pictures where, if I keep them side by side here, the first left picture is my very old, nearly 3 decades old picture, where there were snakes and either out rescued or somewhere, and they are kept and just shot without thinking frame, without thinking composition. But as I travel or move forward in my photography journey, I started thinking about little stories like snake picking out of the tree, like here what the wine snake is doing, So the first pictures were all documentation, and then I started learning more about how do you present your pictures, how do you present stories of the subject. It's not a subject just, but it's the subject in its environment, how it can live, what is it doing, those kind of stories also photographer need to share. And then from there, I eventually ended into macro photography. Satish ji had taken a beautiful talk on macro photography, close up to natures, last Saturday in the same forum. So I ended up in a macro photography, which has actually taught me a lot of patience and admiration of my subjects, turning the ordinary into something extraordinary, which I always look forward to when, doing a macro photography, because it's larger than life experience in a macro photography you can have. So when I started photographing snakes to document them, it wasn't about art at first. But the more I looked through my lens, the more I realized each snake had its own story, a geometry, a rhythm of movement, and I try always to capture that geometry or that rhythm somewhere in my photographs when I take pictures of snakes. This is a Protobothras colbaki, one of the first report from India, which I did from Arunachal. This snake was reported first in India by me in 2007, nearly long back. So when you document snakes, it also led you to notice a lot of details, because chelation you need to study to identify snake, eyes, microhabitats where it stays. So the macro photography, it is a natural, precision for me from documentation to macro photography as such. But while doing that, over time, my focus also shifted from just the subject to the word it belongs to, the environment that shapes its story. Taking a beautiful subject in a close-up, in a macro, it's extraordinary. You make the subject very larger than life, and I enjoy it still. I still do a lot of macro photography. But I started enjoying animalscapes more, where you start photographing animal its own environment. Like this is an Indian rock python in a completely rocky and a forest terrain, and that's its natural habitat. So shooting a snake in a natural habitat with that, showing that habitat behind it, gives a completely different dimension to your image. It tells you a real story of that subject, where it is staying. And then you can start imagining what kind of prey it must be having in that habitat, what kind of predators or threats it can have that habitat. And that particular species need to, hide from the predators or go behind the prey, then how it can do that in that particular. So all kind of different stories comes into your mind when you start shooting pictures of a subject with its habitat in the frame. But uh, I didn't stop it there. My always journey was always kind of a little forward momentum. So what began as documenting behavior, and then the animal scapes and everything also went into creating art, where subject and my vision also merge. So this is an abstract image. This is basically a raindrop on a snake body. But I went to so close and so tight that it gives you complete different vision for a particular subject, to create it more as a arty picture. So that's how my journey always happened, from documentation to portraits, from portraits to landscape and animalscapes, from animalscapes then back to fine art and creative abstracts kind of photography. And this kind of journey is still always going ahead and ahead as the new technology comes, new moments comes, new geographies I go to explore. Everything is always progressing. So your photography need to have always a momentum. You cannot stop somewhere. Keep it moment going on as such. Now, after this personal journey, let's go to our habitat subject today. I am showing here 6 different habitats. Here it's ocean, or the coastal habitat. There are grasslands. There is a jungle. There is a Himalayan mountain forest. Or here it's a desert. Here is a wetlands. So habitats are the fabric of life. Each texture, wet or dry, warm or cold, it shapes all the animals within it. When habitat changes, the entire story vanishes. So when habitat is destroyed, the whole story of that animal is destroyed. But when we protect these habitats, the thread of life remains stronger and they keep surviving more longer. Also in the line, even we keep ourselves surviving longer. So it's like we never think about it when we shoot a subject and everything. Every species has a home. And protecting habitat means protecting their home, protecting their life itself. So this next photography session, what we are going to have, is basically a visual journey through India's major habitats and celebrating the wildlife in those habitats. So let's start with forests, tropical rainforests or deciduous forests, thorny forests, mountain forests, mangroves, etc. So this forest has a richest biodiversity. They support large herbivores, apex predators, acts as a carbon sink, regulates rainfall in our country. So this forest is a very rich in a biodiversity, particularly when there is a forest, there is a lot of light and shadows play also keeps happening. And the whole platform is so huge that the every animals need to adopt to that. So there is a diurnal animal, there are nocturnal animals, there are animals who also has to climb to survive, there are animals who are ready to also swim in the water in the forest to survive. So there are so many different kind of biodiversity and actions and stories you can get in a forest to shoot and photograph and share those stories with everywhere. This is a Malabar gliding frog just picking out from his place on the bark. So when I started doing kind of animalscapes or animals in a habitat, always it first started with just a landscape pictures. So there was no mention or no framing of an animal into the particular landscape. So I started doing landscape photography and I started loving it so much that for some days and years, I think that was my probably the most important genre which I explored is a landscape photography. And I went to winter Ladakh only for that landscape photography of frozen lakes, and I'm doing it every year for last 16 years. My winter Ladakh trips for only for the landscapes as such. I will show you some of the pictures of the Ladakh in the next session here only. So when my lens first started wandering across this all landscape, I first started understanding rhythm of earth and water, rhythm of wind, rhythm of leaf. You start feeling all those things. And the last rhythm which you need to understand is the light and shadows. As a photographer, Typically, the light and shadows you need to understand in the forest, because it's a high canopy and the sunlight always comes through the leaves and the whole canopy. So the lights is always a challenge in the forest, where you will not get a very bright light everywhere on the subject, but you will get this percolating light or a filtering light in through the trees as such. And then you get a more better opportunity to create something which more surreal, like this. The expanding perspective from landscapes to the creatures within them. And then it will reveal a deep connection between life and place, the sun and, typically sunlight, fog. Everything comes into a complete one point where you can shoot something which is really good, as a frame where people will like it. Now, once this animalscapes happens, but you are in a forest, we generally keep looking at a larger prey, bigger animals, to shoot maybe, or birds. Those who are into birding, they will try to shoot birds. But there is so many things, starts from mushrooms. These are some Marsemis species which I just photographed few months back in a forest of Dodamag on Maharashtra Goa border. These are coral fungi. Coral you have seen underwater, but there is a coral fungi which also looks like a coral above the ground in our forests. Then these are Trogia species like flowers. These all are mushrooms which are, as Satish ji also said on Saturday, these are fruiting bodies of a fungi. You can't see fungi which is inside the soil or inside the bark, but these all are the fruiting bodies which are so much in different color form, different shapes, different completely stratum, that you can shoot only fungi in a forest. And probably live in a monsoon time, you can go in a forest and start shooting fungi, and probably you will not get time to shoot anything else, because there are so many colors, so many shapes, so many varieties of fungi we have in our forests. This is hairy cup fungus on a wooden bark of a tree. So you get lot of these macro opportunities once you start looking for any different kind of subjects in a forest. From fungi, you can move towards snail, which is also a very beautiful subject to shoot in the forest. You can see them feeding on the plants, laying eggs. You can also go to butterflies, particularly in the forest. This is a large silver strip from northeastern India. This is Kaiser-e-Hind, one of the most beautiful butterfly of India. That's why probably it's called as the Kaiser-e-Hind. This butterfly, it's found in the northeast India. I travel all the way to northeast only to shoot this butterfly in one trip. I did 2 trips over the years. One trip, I couldn't get this butterfly at all to shoot. So there are many times it happens that you don't get a subject to shoot which you have decided, you have pre-visualized on. But then searching for that subject means experiencing more forest, seeing more subjects, seeing more animals, seeing more insects. So never bother or never worry about when you will get a subject, because till you get the subject, there are so many other things you will get in the forest as such. So for this Kaiser-e-Hind, I travel all the way in the northeast of India because the brood comes once in a week in a year, and because of the feeding plants which it flowers during that time, the feeding plant which the Kaiser-e-Hind needs. Now, over the years, it has also observed that this particular butterfly is less seen now, because a lot of people have cut down those plants for clearing for the urbanization, or clearing for the agriculture, clearing for the farming. So when the habitat destruction happens, you also lose all these subjects which you want to photograph or study or document completely. So start understanding habitat also whenever you go to in any place to start photographing subject. Think about its habitat, think about its home, how we can protect it. This is red-based Jezabel, another beautiful butterfly from northeast of India. Then while roaming for Kaiser-e-Hind, you can get such kind of mud puddling site where these are blue bottles, hundreds of blue bottles were sitting on the ground and mud puddling. What they do is that it's an energy for them. They take salts from the water into that mud, the soil, they suck it out. So imagine if we do concretization everywhere, and all these mud puddling site for butterflies are gone. Will they be able to survive? They will either move away somewhere from your area. So concretizing everything, whatever we see, is also not a solution. We have to keep certain habitat open for the animals and for the insects which survive on those habitats. Now, this is a very unique frog found in the Western Ghats called purple frog. It's a subterranean frog. Its whole life is under soil. Only female to lay eggs comes out. Otherwise, the male, everybody is under the soil always. And this was shot in Munnar a few years back while we were documenting this frog. But we have such kind of frogs also which are quite rare, which are very unique, which are very endemic to our habitat. So if a Western Ghats starts getting troubled, if the habitat in the Western Ghats start dwindling, all these species will be verge on vanishing or getting extinct. This is again a Malabar gliding frog, but I'm showing you this picture because we hardly see a complementing or a contrasting colors. Malabar gliding frog itself is a very colorful frog. But if it's on an unjun tree and there is a fruiting happening during that time and the gliding frog is on that tree, you get a very good opportunity to take a contrasting images where this contrasting colors lifts up your image much more better than just taking a small portrait. Or if there is an action, this is the Nyctibatrachus calling. So any kind of contrasting colors, any kind of action happening, always give plus point to your photographs to make it more interesting, to make it more storyful. This is another rare animal from our India. It's from Northeast India. It's called glass snake. Basically, it's a legless lizard. It's not a snake. And when I was searching for that Kolbaki pit viper, which I showed you picture earlier, it was the first report from India. While searching for that snake for 2 years, I haven't got that snake. But while searching for it, I got this kind of, diamonds in the forest. This is a legless lizard glass snake. Not a very common subject. It's very uncommon subject you can find in the forest, but very beautiful. Then there are common subjects like this is Deccan banded gecko, which is from Dandeli. Then you also can get sometimes action or some very interesting pictures where this is a king cobra on the nest in the northeast of India. King cobra is the only snake which builds its own nest. It gathers these bamboo leaves through his body coils, collect them all together and lay eggs in them. This is always on a slope because the monsoon water or a rain water need to just go above that particular nest without destroying it. So most of the time this nest is on the slope. And when the eggs are laid, this female king cobra, it protects the nest by guarding it till the time of hatching comes out. And when the time of hatching comes, this king cobra leaves the nest and goes far away from the nest because typically the king cobras eat other snakes. So there might be a chances if the female king cobra stays there, she might her own young ones eat, she might eat her own young ones. So because of that, the female king cobra leaves the nest and leaves quite a go away when the hatching time comes of the eggs. And that's how the nature always gives you so many different stories. So whenever you are going in nature or photographing any subject, learn about the subject, study about it a little bit, pre-visualize certain shots. I always have pre-visualization of my shots. Like you might call it dreaming many times because 80% of the time you don't get those shots. Okay. But the 20% of times when you get those shots which you have pre-visualized, there is nothing, no joy like that, in a photography where you have dreamed a particular shot and you could shoot that particular thing the way you have dreamed it. And that's what gives a lot of joy to a photographer. So start pre-visualizing your images or the experiences you want to have and then go into the wild. Now, with these all experiences, many times we have a lot of common subjects around us, and we sometimes miss shooting them because they are so common. You think that everybody else will shoot, and generally every photographer wants to shoot something which nobody else is shot, over the time as such. Peacock, such a beautiful subject. You can spend whole day with peacocks roaming around in our forests. So whenever next time you are in a tiger land and you are seeing some peacocks around, spend time with it and you will get a really, really good images. It's one of the most beautiful bird in the world, but because it's so common at the moment, we don't look at it so much as such. But with the whole agriculture, pesticides and everything happening in around our India, the whole forests are getting destroyed. Agriculture, probably this bird will also start number reducing day by day, and maybe in future people will see these images and say, "Oh, this bird is now on threatened completely." Another common bird in southern India, particularly, which is very beautiful, which not many people photograph, and forest is full of such kind of beautiful animals, birds, which not we generally give only for the high predators or those tigers, leopards, or eagles kind of thing. This is a gray jungle fowl, such a beautiful in a sunlight, morning sunlight. I will say this bird is one of the most beautiful bird of our forest. Then the birds in the flight is another genre you can actually, in forest or in different habitats you can do. But you need to study them little bit, what their flight pattern is, and you need to find a place. So this is a Panala fort near Kolhapur. So we are knowing that these boneless eagles travel to this route to the nets, which was little far away from the fort. But it travels on the same route every day, carrying a food to its nest. So we found out a spot, kept a hide, and sat there, waiting whole day to get this one picture, which is a eye level shot of a flying boneless eagle, which is not a easy shot. But I had pre-visualized it. I worked towards it. I studied the bird. I studied its movement pattern. I found out a place where I can sit and wait. And probably I may not have got this shot also by doing all that thing, but I got one shot, so I'm happy about it. So that's how the wildlife photography should be done, where you should pre-visualize things, plan for it, study for it, go towards it. Also, by doing all ethical things, not by catching something, but studying it, planning for it, and doing the ethical photography is the next step forward in wildlife photography. This is another plummeted parakeet. We have a lot of parakeets around us. In early morning, they keep grooming their bodies, so you have to just wait for a right moment to shoot something. In winters, this yellow-footed green pigeon, in the cold, it's sitting on a small branch, but I love the action of it, completely fluffed as such. So your picture also shows the season. Your picture also shows it's cold there, and that's how you should also look at showing a habitat or environment which animal is into. Action is always favorite, but these are the Malabar pied hornbills, playing with each other on the tree canopy as such. Then there is the Oriental honey buzzard, such a beautiful bird. I haven't found a lot of pictures of Oriental honey buzzard. I have found a lot of eagle pictures from a lot of people, but not many people shoot buzzards. But I don't think this is less beautiful than any eagle. The very beautiful bird, the honey buzzard. Another beautiful bird in our southern Indian forest or central Indian forest, not central, western, particularly southern western, is hill myna. Very beautiful bird, very large voice, very beautiful voice it has. Spotted owlets, always a great subject to shoot in the forest. If you are in the morning, you will always find them, sunbathing or resting in the sun on some bark. Pheasants, if you are in northern India in some forest, you will get a lot of, this is Khalis pheasant, female of Khalis pheasant. So you'll get a lot of pheasants to shoot, which you need to look in the ground litters or, in the below the canopy of a lot of forests. Then you can go to the bigger animals as elephants into its whole environment is one of the, what you say, a best experience to photograph. Don't just photograph elephants close up or a portraits. Get it with a wider angle lens with the whole environment, and then you will understand. Sorry. Sorry, there was a call, so I have to switch it off. With elephants, you can also get sambar. This is in action completely sambar calling. There is a predator nearby, so its half leg is then thumped on the ground as such. So in a forest, normal habitat, you get all kind of animals from mushrooms to larger herbivores to the larger predators. This is chinkara, this is hog deer. So there is so many varieties we have of different animals in our forest, Indian forest, that probably we will need more birds to shoot every and each subject of our forest. Then, by going through these all portraits of animals, my focus started gradually shifting from just capturing the subject and its surroundings to observing its personality and behavior. So once you are in a forest, you got your pictures done, portraits or animal sitting somewhere. You can also start moving to shooting the personalities of these animals and their behavior. I realized that every animal has its own way of moving, reacting, interacting with the environment. Through careful observation, photography became a way to document not just how a subject looks, but how it lives. Like these bonnet macaques in a cold morning at Bandipur, they all are huddled together just to get warmth from each other, you know. Or these lion tail macaques grooming each other, cleaning their bodies. These are different behaviors you can also shoot into our forests. Or these golden langurs, it's not easy to see a langur in a water body, okay? So I was with this golden langur flock for a whole day, morning to evening, and then for some time they got down into a river to eat aquatic plants. And I could get a shot of a mirror reflection of a golden langus in a river. Uh, I remember one of my friends calling me and saying, "Have you done through AI? I have never seen a langur in a water." But if you spend a lot of time with your subjects, you will get an opportunity to shoot something rare. Wild dogs on a kill is a very attentive and a protective animal, for its kill as such. Or this handsome jackal sitting in a bench on one path of your gypsy, you know. Then I had an opportunity to photograph a bear, and I have not seen such a beautiful bear in our jungles. The bear generally you see is very, disgruntled, hair somewhere around, but probably this bear had some beauty parlor, probably something in the forest. I think so, because this was very well groomed bear I could photograph. Leopards, you go to a place where leopards are like tigers. There are less tigers, then leopards become a quite a high apex animal there, and they can sit. You can find them sitting like a tiger near their kills. So this was Panna when the tigers were less in Panna. Now there also the leopards are more secretive, but when leopards were not secretive, you can get a really great pictures of leopards in open jungles and a forest. From there, you can also move to a lot of action shots, tiger chasing in a grassland, spotted deers. You wait, you have a patience, you get this kind of shots. Or in a sal forest, two tiger siblings, playing with each other. But here, the more look at the environment, it's like a camouflaging of those tigers. The dry sal forest has a reddish and oranges in color, and the tiger color is the same, so they get really good hiding into this forest. Or you get more very opportunistic shot, this tiger quenching its thirst, and backside a sambar is waiting for tiger to move to come on the water. It's only looking attentively. The sambar knows that tiger is not hungry, so it's little relaxed though attentive, but not like a fully alert. Or you get an opportunity, wait where like these spotted deers, but there is a tiger sitting and crouching, waiting for its time to catch one deer for its food. And around tiger does, 8-10 times efforts, and probably one time it will get its prey to eat. So the life of an animal in the jungles is quite hard. So from wide horizons to these intimate encounters, you learn that every animal is a part of greater landscape story, and we need to start capturing these landscape stories more. Now, in a forest itself, you do portrait shoots, you do actions, you do different opportunities, but forest is always moving. So how do you capture a moving forest? There, your photography techniques comes into play. This is a sambar running, crossing a particular path, and you use a panning shot where you are moving your camera with the subject itself for shooting it. And there you can show the motion of the forest. There you can show the forest is moving. So showing habitats, showing different actions, using your photography techniques to show that it's a living forest. It's not just a still something. You can always do this kind of panning shots to show rhythm, show speed, show movement in a still photography also. Sorry. Each movement, each glance, gesture of a particular animal reveals the character far richer than a still image just alone a portrait could capture. Now, this particular shot, I kept it here to tell you a story that I have pre-visualized this shot. I have dreamed this shot of a tiger in a pink flowers, because in a paint in November, December, Nigeria grass, or also called as the Dinanath grass, flowers with these pink flowers. So I only went to paint in December with one objective to possibly try to frame a tiger in these pink flowers. I probably wouldn't have got it because I have just dreamed it, but I got some shots of this sub-adult tiger nicely sitting in this pink flower grass during December in the paint. So you need to plan. You need to, if you saw a particular picture of somebody and you liked it, you need to look at how do you go into that particular area, how do you study, when you have to go, and you have to plan for those pictures. In the end, it's like a lottery, you may not get that shot, but at least you have tried. You may have efforts to get those kind of shots. Then from all these kind of things, I move to also fine art, like with a playing of a light and framing a subject differently with a, very 2.8 or a 1.4 aperture. Sometimes this is 50 mm lens, so 1.2 aperture. So I can do that all, background blurred kind of thing with a single torchlight, not a flash, on the one side and on the snake body. So you can start then pre-visualizing certain RT photographs which you want to show. Generally, the vine snakes are arboreal snakes. Their life is a little secretive. They're always in the treetop. And I wanted to just visualize if a snake has to look from a canopy or between the leaves on something, how it will look. So this is a rendering of that particular kind of thought process, that snake by one eye looking through the leaves kind of thing. So from behavior to artistry, your images can become more than a record. It can become an art form. Similarly, in jungles, probably a good tiger shot you will always get, but a sunlit side lighting, only a side of a tiger, also you will get in the jungles, because our jungles have such a beautiful canopies and sunlight filters through very nicely through them. Or a simple picture like a spotted deer with the side lighting coming through the canopy, you can always make it underexposed and only show its antlers, which is in the sunlight. So you can do all this kind of playing with light shots in the forest if you spend a lot of time. Also experience the habitat and environments also around it. So sometimes you should also look at how you can turn simple movements into visual art. Like this next picture. This was B12 in Bandhavgarh many years back. The tiger was sleeping. Everybody was complaining, tiger is sleeping, we can't shoot anything. And I shot this only one shot of a back of a tiger, and I call it a tiger caterpillar. So you can always create this kind of abstracts, this kind of certain moments into this whole forest photography and create a lot of things. So now from forest we move to grasslands and savannas. Grasslands are very special. They are the most threatened habitat in India today, because grassland in many of the records put as a wastelands. And that's why many of the animals from a grassland are also threatened, like this great Indian bustard. There are hardly 100 birds remain in India today because of development, because of, destruction of a grasslands and its habitat. They are really threatened today, and we are doing a lot of efforts to breed them and then releasing them back into wild, rewilding them. But we have destroyed their habitat. That's why their number is going down, because we have destroyed the grasslands. So when you are looking at a grassland is always a very difficult habitat to think about, for photography as such, because you have some grasslands like a Bunny grassland or in the Run of Kutch in some of the part. But many times these grasslands are within different other ecosystems like forest ecosystem or within the wetlands. But these animals are very suited to this kind of habitats like a grassland. So this is a great Indian bustard. This is lesser florican. The habit of lesser florican is also very, very different. It generally, you have to go to agriculture fields into some of the areas to shoot them. Because of they have started liking, a lot of grasslands were destroyed. They have moved themselves to agriculture areas. A lesser florican needs, plant height of around say 2 feet, 2.5 feet to hide itself, and then jump to attract females. So they generally go into these Moog farms near Ajmer, into that. So you can go there sometimes, and if you can find a lesser pelican, you can shoot these jumping birds. Then in the grassland, you have this Indian courser, you have cream courser. So there are a lot of specialized birds you will get in a grassland. This is gray francolin. There is a thickney. You will also get a lot of birds of prey like the steppe eagle, cinereous vulture, one of the largest vulture of India. Then the short-eared owl, Indian eagle owl. You have two eagle owls in India. One is the Indian eagle owls in most of the mainland Indian peninsula. And if you go to Ladakh, you will get a Eurasian eagle owl. You also get one of the highest bird in India, Sarus cranes in grasslands. In the grasslands, you will also find a murmuring. These are rosy pastors murmuring. They all fly together in a one different formations in the sky. So you can also shoot this kind of murmuring in a lot of grasslands in Jamnagar and other areas. Then you have this black shoulder kite. You have fan-throated lizard in Chalkewadi near Satara, which is also kind of a grassland, scrubland, where you get a lot of these lizards to shoot. You have fan-throated lizards in grasslands of Gujarat and Kutch area. You have then lacer-tailed agama, again a wide-angle shot of a lacer-tail. It's a very small lizard. So in a habitat, you get a very different kind of subjects. In a grassland, you will have the chinkaras or a black buck, which if you want to shoot them jumping around, or they are also beautiful subjects while they are running or they are jumping around to shoot. You get foxes in grasslands. You get hyenas. Now this hyenas is a very beautiful hyena. I shot in a grassland of Banni. It looks like a dog, but generally so much hair because it's young. It has a lot of these hairs on the body. Then even the Khas Plateau, which a lot of people, you all must have gone there, is also kind of a grassland. It's not a purely grassland as such. It's a plateau where it's a seasonal grassland where in a monsoon all these plants comes. So this is the Drosera, the insectivorous plant. And then you can do a lot of these landscape pictures of a Khas Plateau, which are beautiful pictures to show. These are balsams or flowing around. But you can also do a lot of fine art when you are into such kind of grasslands and environments. You will get a lot of droplets and a reflection of the whole grassland into those droplets. Try looking for this kind of reflections to do any kind of fine art kind of work in a grassland. The third habitat which I am covering is the deserts and semi-arid zones. So when you say deserts, it's not only the hot desert of, Thar desert what we have, but also we have a cold desert in Ladakh and Spiti. So deserts basically are extreme landscapes where the life which is staying there need to be resilient to thrive because there is a scarcity of water, temperature swings, like in cold desert, temperature goes to -40 is in winter. The conditions are very harsh. So animals which are found into these habitats are quite well adapted to these harsh conditions. Now, if you go to Thar Desert, you will get a lot of these cranes. This is common crane. This is democel crane. You will get kestrels sitting on the ground waiting for the prey. You will have these European rollers eating insects all around. Then there is this red spotted royal snake from desert. This is Sindh owlet snake. This is also another first report which we did from India long back. This was the first report and probably the first photograph from India during 2 decades, 3 decades back nearly. This is Sindh owlet snake from Rajasthan. Then there is a desert fox also there in the desert. Then you have wild asses in our deserts, particularly in Kutch area, run of Kutch. You will have these our wild asses. It's very difficult to get the silhouette because it's such a flat land getting any kind of elevation to shoot this kind of thing. So I have to found out really a ditch where I can go inside the ditch to shoot this with the behind the sun in the back. Then if you go to Ladakh now, there are so many plants. It's also desert in height. This is at around 15,000 feet. There are a lot of wild plants and wild flowering happens in June, July. Then you have animals like pika, Ladakh pikas. In the snow also they have a beautiful life. You have woolly napped hare in the Ladakh. Then in a snow, in a cold desert, you will get a lot of these completely whitewashed backgrounds, and this is a brown accent. So photographing them is little challenging sometimes because you get a very high key image or you get overexposed. But you need to really find out, what is your best exposure for the snow and a white to get right. So shooting in a raw and then adjusting white balance into your processing, raw processing is much better than shooting just a JPEG there as such. This is another rare bird called Tibetan sand grouse from the cold desert areas. Most of these pictures are around 14,000, 15,000 feet height. In winter, this is Tibetan saker falcon, another rare bird from India. This is a little owl, again a high altitude bird in Ladakh from the cold desert. These are Tibetan partridges. Most of these birds in a winter, if you go, they come down from the heights because the heights have a lot of snows and you get opportunity to photograph them. So going to Ladakh in a winter for wildlife also is a great one. Is you also can get opportunity to shoot snow leopards and other animals, but also you get a lot of birds which you sometimes don't get in summer at all. This is Tibetan snowcock, again another high altitude bird from cold deserts of Ladakh, Changthang area. Then you get these guzanders, these are males completely in the breeding plumage. Here also you can do a lot of, wide angle shots. This is the only reptile found above 15,000 feet. This is from Somuririri. This is called toad-headed agama. Very small, probably 2-inch long reptile, shot with a wide angle with a horse Somuririri in the background, So subject looks outward, connecting, then you will get a connection of a subject with its surrounding. And that will define the subject also. So doing a wide angle photography sometimes with a subject which is ready to sit there when you go closer. You will not be able to do this wide angle with such an high predators like tigers or leopards. But with elephants, sometimes you can go closer in your vehicle to shoot with wide angles. But reptiles, you will always try it, or you can go closer to shoot with wide angles. Or you will get in its habitat subject playing around. So you can also show the whole playground. These are marmots playing with each other. And I wanted to show the whole playground where this marmot's habitat is. So this is a wide angle shot taken with the whole habitat in the background. These are Tibetan asses, wild asses, or also called locally kiyangs. So this is at Sokar, around 15,000 feet in a peak winter, where I have found these whole kiyangs in one line in the snowfield landscapes. I have a very beautiful story or my personal experience to share here for this particular picture. This was my first or a second trip in a winter Ladakh nearly 15 years back. And I wasn't prepared for the cold so much. So I was shooting this picture and suddenly my camera stopped working. And I was wondering what happened to camera. I have read everywhere if there is a condensation. That time it was not a mirrorless. It was with a shutter camera completely. So shutter must be freezed. So I took my camera, went into my vehicle, put the heater of the vehicle on and kept the camera there for 15-20 minutes. And then took it back, put it on a tripod just to check whether it works or not now. And then I came to know that nothing has happened to my camera. My brain is saying I am clicking the camera, but actually my finger wasn't moving. With the cold, my finger was little blackish in color. So it's called frostnip. So that experience was actually jolted me that time, that you can see, look at your finger and you feel you are pressing your camera button, but your finger is not moving at all. This is kind of a little dangerous experience. So I immediately stopped my trip that time and came back to Leh, went to hospital, checked my fingers, did 10 minutes hot water bath, 10 minutes cold water bath to de-thaw them for next 3 days. But from that trip onwards, I go every winter to Ladakh, but I have prepared myself with better clothing, better hand gloves, and I also don't fight with nature when there is a bad weather. You better keep your camera in your bag and take rest. So while photographing, you have to also take care of yourself while photographing anything in the wild. This is another Kiyang picture with a Henle mountain range in the back. This is Himalayan fox on the completely frozen river. This is another very rare fox from India. This is sand fox.
Kedarji,
Yeah.
can you just slow down a second? It is moving very fast. Can you go back to the kiosks with the handling?
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just 1 second, 2 second delay will be
Okay.
better.
Okay, sure.
Thank you.
I will
Thank
keep
you.
that. So these are Kiangs in the background of a Henle completely snowfield. Henle don't get a snow in winter also always. Sometimes the snowfall happens and you get these opportunities. I'm going to Henle nearly every year in winter for the last 16 years. So I have a lot of shots of Henle ranges with different animals there. But it's a beautiful area to go in winter to shoot. It's also one of the declared as a dark sanctuary of India. So basically, you get a lot of astronomy photography, astrophotography done there. We have one of India's highest astrophysics laboratory, or what you call binocular there, which is handled from Bangalore. At that particular place, you can shoot a lot of good Milky Way shots in Henle.
Hello.
Hello.
Sir, what time of the day these shots are taken? Because of the light seems to be very good. So what time
This is
in
early
the
morning around 9 o'clock.
no. So get a good bright light like
Yeah,
this, sir.
yeah. Sometimes it's a good bright light, blue skies, clouds in winter also. See, winter, in particular Ladakh in a cold desert, you get a blue sky and a white clouds a lot of times. Sometimes when the snowfall happens, the weather goes bad, then you will only get a completely whitewash everywhere. Up, down,
Oh,
left, right, everywhere there will be white only. And then you kind of get very, depressed kind of environment. So winter Ladakh also is many times a challenging on your mind, because many times the cold is very, very cold, and sometimes the weather goes from bad to worst, and you can't shoot anything. Everywhere only you can see white color, and sometimes you feel depressed if you are not with a lot of people. And generally my all travels are generally alone or only with one or two close friends. So sometimes
no
yeah,
glare, sir. Sunlight glare from the snow.
not much. I always use a CPL when I'm there as such to stop the glare. But you can find the angle. You get glares, but you can find the good angles where you can avoid glares in sun. I will show you another picture later where the glare was a challenge and how do I did that also. This is a Himalayan red fox. Sometimes having this whole environment of a white also gives a different depth to your picture. A red fox Himalayan with his whole that tail. And in winter also, all these animals have a beautiful fur. So in winter, shooting animals pictures in Ladakh on a cold desert also can give you a really great pictures, because the animals are having a very woolly and very large fur on them. So this is one fox which we have. Another fox we get into Tibetan Plateau of India, both in Sikkim as well as in Ladakh. It's called sand fox. Very different fox. Its head is a little boxy, and it's stays on pikas and moles into there. And you will only find on the Tibetan plateaus of India, either in Henle Plateau in Ladakh or in Sikkim near Guru Dogmar Lake. Sometimes you also get a very different, this is the Guzander female. And when I was shooting them on the half-frozen river, this is Sindhu River, which is half-frozen, and the cold was so in minus 30s that for a minute, even this bird couldn't get lips. It was stuck on the ice. So it took 10 minutes for a bird to get separated from the ice. It was completely stuck there. So sometimes even these animals have a lot of challenges to stay in this cold environment. These are Tibetan wolves on a Kiang keel. Tibetan wolves is an amazing animal. They stay in packs. I also have a photograph, a black wolf. The stories of Tibetan herders is always that in a wolf pack, if there is a wolf which is born with a blackish color, it is generally thrown out. So you will always get a single black wolf roaming around in Ladakh, in particular on the Tibetan plateau. I also have photographed that. Unfortunately, I have not put it here. Probably I have too many photographs to put. But this is our Tibetan wolves, another high altitude cold desert animal. Another rare small cat of India called Palash cat, again from a cold desert of Ladakh, from Henle. Very, very beautiful cat. A lot of people have shot it in summer when they went to Henle in last 2-3 years. But in winter, it is very special because it has this whole shaggy fur on it, the winter fur. And it looks like something, a toy kind of thing. But a beautiful animal. It took me 5 years to shoot this. I was going there for 5 years every winter in Henley to try to shoot Palash cat, but my luck wasn't there. Either one day before me, somebody had taken a photograph and I couldn't see it, or after I left the Henley, somebody got it on the next day. Always happens. But I wasn't lucky for 4 years. It took me 5 years. Fifth year, I could shoot it, and then from that, the jinx was broken, and I could shoot it for another 5 years. So I shot this last 5 years, but it took me 5 years to get first shot of this particular animal in Henley. That was 5 years. This shot took me 15 years. The Eurasian lynx, I used to call it a holy grail of Ladakh cold desert. It's rarer than snow leopard, and every time again I was either missing it or I spending time and not finding it at all. So 2025 was the year where again that whole luck came my way and I could shoot 4 different lynx. It's a very beautiful animal to shoot for, quite rare. Then in deserts, you also have a lot of snakes, but you can also do a lot of different expression, this fine art photography also you can do. This is a close-up of a saw-scaled viper. And I used to title this as a carpet with eyes, This viper is called as a carpet viper because close-up it looks like some carpet and it has eyes on it. So the going tight shooting, very tight with the coils, I wanted to show a very different kind of personality of this particular snake. Then you have seen a demoiselle crane, but the next picture is actually a color picture of a black and white shot in nature. It's not a monochrome picture, but the nature sometimes shows you actual black and white color. This is a foggy morning with a silhouetted demoiselle cranes flying. And this is actually a color picture. This is not a monochrome or a black and white picture. So I want to tell you that it's not always color, but in nature has a lot of different kind of, grays also. And if you keep searching for them, you can shoot naturally black and white pictures. You doesn't need to do a color picture black and white in nature. So light can become a subject itself. It can shape spaces. It can reveal moods. It can hide secrets. So the light is everything when you start shooting in the forest, different forests. I also did a lot of fine art in desert where you get sand dunes. There is no subject like sand dunes where you can do a lot of experimentation. This is sunset over the sand dune. And this is an underexposed picture because I wanted to show those shadows and the lines of sand dunes. Again, the aperture is 20 or 22 above that. Here also, I waited for sun to come to that sand dune horizon, to get that particular sun kind of burst here. Again, the aperture is very small. In Ladakh, you get frozen lakes to shoot, and I am shooting frozen lakes for last so many years, and they all are around 15,000, 16,000 feet. And when the water freezes, it also breaks, and you get a different kind of, landscapes where there are pieces of ice, tiles of ice lying everywhere around. And the colors are so amazing that you will find kind of emerald or other things like this. This is sand, snow, and the snow, completely bluish color because of the algae and other things in the water, and the background of a blue sky. These kind of blue landscapes you get in the winter in Ladakh, when all the lakes gets completely frozen and the ice breaks, the wind goes inside the cracks and it explodes, and you get all this kind of different explosive ice which has come out of the ground. This is all algae, old algae dried, and the soil, and one ice like a bug which has come out of the soil. You also get a very amazing things called, basically there are hot geysers in Ladakh. In this cold desert, there are hot geysers. The water fumes comes out of the ground in the geysers. But the cold is so cold that these fumes which comes out and immediately freezes, and they starts building up these kind of structures. So this can go to 15, 16 feet in a height. And actually inside there, if you can see the hole here, the fumes keeps coming up, but as soon as the fume comes out, they starts freezing and these structures starts building up. These all are sulfur fumes. So now there is a project going on in this habitat. This is called Puga Valley in Ladakh. In this habitat, there is a new project going on to harness this geothermal energy. And it's a very, very fragile habitat with lot of animals, those Tibetan sand grouse, Tibetan partridges, wolves. Everybody lives in this whole kind of environment. And with the geothermal new projects, there is a probably chance of destroying this habitat. And we might not get these species again in these areas in future. So those were deserts and cold deserts. From there, let's go to the wetlands, freshwater ecosystems. Wetlands are all, very crucial for migratory birds in India. But they are also highly vulnerable to pollution and land reclamation. So wetlands, if goes down, the migratory bird population also can go down. This water shapes these whole ecosystems. The flood of water, the quantity of water, volume of water dictates how many birds will be there. Wetlands and rivers, they nurture wildlife, maintain ecological balances. So wetlands are, you can say, it's really heart of Indian forests or Indian different habitats. I'm showing you the next picture to tell you why photography is more important in a different habitat. I was probably few of the last photographers who had shot Siberian cranes in the last year in Bharatpur in 2002. This was the last pair of Siberian crane came ever to India. After that, they are locally extinct. They never came to India again for wintering. So there were only few photographers in 2002 in Bharatpur, and I was one of them. So probably we were the last ones who photographed these cranes in India in 2002. After that, nobody had able to photograph these cranes, and that's why documentation, photographing in different habitat, different animals, you never know, with whole humankind destroying everything, you never know which animal will go extinct when. So photographing them, recording them in their own habitats as a history of a wildlife or natural history of India, it needs to be recorded. So my suggestion to all photographers, yes, you can always shoot tigers and other big fauna, but start shooting a lot of other animals in their habitat. So the recording of these habitats which might get lost in future. Northern pintail in flights is a beautiful subject in a wetland. Any wetlands, any ducks or geese flying around is a beautiful subject. Taking off from the water or landing on the water are beautiful subjects. The birds feeding or catching fish in a wetlands is a beautiful subject to shoot, like these gray herons. Also, there is so much interaction happening between different birds or a similar birds, like this gray heron had caught the fish, another gray heron is behind it to steal it. This is at a big one, which I think Satishji also is also gone many times to shoot. So you get this kind of interaction between different animals with their habitat all around them. Osprey fishing into the water. Also, osprey, once it caught a fish, hard-earned fish, the seagulls, they are pestering the osprey and they want to steal the fish from the osprey. So you get all these different kind of interactions on wetland bodies. If you spend time whole day there, don't just go for say like flamingos to shoot, but just spend time there and you might get a lot of interactions between different bird species, different animals in those habitats. You probably have seen a kingfisher picture. I just kept this picture to tell you that many times we try to take a very clean picture, without much debris in the frame as such. But personally, the story also I like on a wetland when there is any perch of a bird. These kind of bare leaves, branches gives a different perspective to a particular frame. So you can always go a little bit against the rules and keep something in the frame which you might find it, you want to clean it, but keeping it also gives a different perspective. Skimmers. If you go to Chambal River, this is another bird which is very beautiful bird, very different kind of beak. You can see it here. The upper part is smaller, and they skim in the water to catch fish. That's why the beak is like that. This is knob-billed duck, a very beautiful bird, again from Chambal River. So wetlands not necessarily has to be always like Bharatpur, but even the riverine systems are also very good for shooting birds and other animals. River terns, mating. This is crab plover from Jamnagar wetland beaches. White-winged stilt, you can see the marsh crocodile tail in the back. These are gharials, another reptiles from our wetlands from Chambal River. You will also get in a wetland pythons. This is a little different, rendering a different visualization of Indian rock python swimming in the water from backside. These are again Indian skimmers with a marsh crocodiles in the back. So you get a lot of these interactions between different animal groups in a particular habitat. And shooting them also is like recording stories of a daily happenings in those habitats. And then you can always do in a wetlands little fine art. Like this is silhouetted painted storks at Bharatpur. I have titled this in one of the exhibition as gold diggers, So you get all these gold reflections into the water and a silhouette bird. So you can always do little bit abstract and fine art. Now next picture is a little abstract, which is a pre-visualization where with a slow shutter speed, you want to show the movement of birds on a wetland. Some birds are standing ground, some birds are up on the top. So with a slow shutter speed, was my visualization. You may not like it. Some of you may not like it at all. What is this picture? But I love the visualization where movement of birds and the still birds also a little bit with a slow shutter speed. This gives a very different feeling to a particular habitat picture. From there, we go to coastal and marine habitats. These are sandy beaches, mudflats, coral reefs, lagoons, and estuaries. All these habitats, they have their natural role. They protect from storms and erosion. They support marine fauna, but the coastal development, overfishing, and climate change are the biggest threat to these habitats. Typically, on a coastal region, you always get many kind of these flowers. This is Ipomia growing on the shore of Bhubaneswar. Not Bhubaneswar, Orissa shores in Rushikulya. You get a lot of waders on the coastal zones. So you will get a lot of reflective mirror images. You have birds of prey like this white-billed seagull roaming around the seas or the coastal areas to catch fish. You can also get, if you go to the olive ridley beaches where they hatch, they lay eggs and aribada happens. If you go a little before that and take a boat inside the mainstream, you will find these olive ridley turtles mating there. So this picture was taken long back in Rushikulya beach in Orissa, where the sea was quite harsh and the boat was rolling left and right. And I remember tying myself to the main stop of the boat to take pictures because it was moving so much. This is olive ridley turtles mating. This is your clownfish with a magnificent anemone. This kind of symbiotic relationship you can shoot where anemone helps protection for the fish, and the fish brings food for the animal from the surroundings. You get the school of fishes like this catfishes into the sea. This is another kind of a rare creature called pygmy seahorse. This is a coral, and here you can see this. This is a horse, seahorse. So well camouflaged. This is a pygmy seahorse in a place called Anilao in Philippines. This picture is of a pelagic form or a larval form of a sea lily, what you get in the sea. I love doing blackwater dives. Blackwater dives means you dive in the night in the mainstream, and in the torches, particularly there are special torches which you use underwater where these all pelagic forms, there is the largest migration happens vertically in the seas every night, where all these pelagic forms comes to feed on the top layer in the night. So these gets attracted to us lights, and you can scuba dive there and wheel around and keep shooting them. You can only shoot them in a spotlights like this, or what we call strobe lights in underwater language, because the strobe lights, these are all most of the transparent animals. So in the strobe lights, their body gets little shine, and you can shoot like this. And I love doing this blackwater dives much because it's very closer to the pelagic forms where the origin of life has happened. So many times while shooting, the habitat, the different forms of animals, and probably it can take you to the little closer to from where the human has come from. This is orangutan crab on a bubble coral. It looks typical like orangutan with the hairy body, and that's why it is called as a orangutan crab. Then there is a candy crab on another coral called candy coral. So it's so well camouflaged. Look at this. This middle is a crab, and this is a coral. Such a well camouflaged animal. Underwater, the colors are very, very bright, very, very different. As you go more at a depth, you lose certain wavelengths. Like you go 10 meter, you lose red. You go another 20 meter, you lose blue. So you use the lights, basically it's strobe lights or other lights, to get those color backs underwater. This is sea squirt or tunicate. They are sessile. Basically, these are single bodied or single cell animals. And they have certain amazing colors on them to shoot. Underwater world is very different. It's very colorful. 80% wildlife is underwater of this whole world. So if you are interested and you want to venture out and do something different, start scuba diving and start doing underwater photography. It's the same camera you use with the underwater housing. So you don't need to buy another camera. The same SLR you can use underwater. You have to buy a housing for it, which is as expensive as camera. But if you're interested in underwater photography, you can think about doing that. Then there are a lot of sea slugs. This is Chromodoris, another blue sea slug. And they are called butterflies of ocean. And you have hundreds of different colors of sea slugs into the ocean. Then you have octopuses, very different subjects. You have this mantis, sea mantis, another sea slug. And then seashores are always good for landscape. This is havelock in Andaman. But when you are thinking about doing little fine art or little bit of design, nature always provides you with certain designing, like this is a shell moving on the sand. Okay. This is a top shot just to show you its whole road. So you can do this kind of fine art shots also in any kind of habitat. Or underwater, this is a sea fan, So there is a lot of pictures you can do. This is like a single flower lying on the beach, and it shows a little isolation. So it depends on photographer what kind of stories a photographer wants to share. This is a soft coral. This is a shipwreck. So the probably that ship has gone down into that water hundreds of years back, but then there is all overgrowth has happened, and this soft coral has got nice spots grow from that shipwreck. If you go to Sundarbans, you get amazing lights to shoot different landscape of Sundarbans. With your boat, you can use those waves coming out of boat as a structure in your frame. There are estuarine crocodiles you can shot in Sundarban with tigers and others. These are estuarine crocodiles are also quite attacking crocodiles. There are a lot of attack happens because of these crocodiles when people venture out in the water to catch fish or a fish seeds or a prawns. The next habitat, which is alpine and a high altitude habitat, those are the Himalayas above the tree line. They are alpine meadows, tundra-like zones, where the summers are very short, long winters. These are watershed of India. Most of the rivers originate into this kind of Himalayas. They support very unique species like a snow leopard. Snow leopard is also in Ladakh and Spiti in a cold desert, but also in the Himalayas. This kind of landscapes are there into Himalayas with a little snow line. Or this kind of forests if you go towards Manali, Jalori Pass and other areas. In those passes, in those Himalayas, you get a lot of wildflowers also to shoot. And you can do a lot of macro photography in this kind of habitats also. With that, if you go towards Sikkim side, these are grandalas, blue color birds. In winter, you can shoot them in thousands. Sitting on a snow-filled trees also sometimes you get. This is a lammergeier, one of the longest wingspan in vultures or in the birds at all. This is also called as a bearded vultures. Very unique bird from Himalayan region or also the cold desert region. You will get a lammergeier. It's also called as a bone cracker or a bone eater. What it does, it's only bone marrow from inside the bone. If any animal has died, it collects the bones, and its beak is very, very sharp to break the bone and eat bone marrow inside the bone. Sometimes it cannot do that. It will lift the bone, fly up high and leaves the bone down to break it. So the bone crashes on the rocks and breaks it, and then it eats inside the bone. So it's called as a bone cracker also many times locally. Then there is a great teat. So a lot of birds are specialized from these areas you can photograph. These are blue ships or bharals, like you have Nilgirithars in south. You have these bharals or blue ships in Himalayas. So I have seen these ships climbing the mountains nearly 45 minutes before the sunset. And sun was in the back of the ridge of the top of the mountain. And I waited for these ships to reach the top ridge to get this rim light. So you can pre-visualize your frames and wait patiently, because you know that there is a backlight happening in that particular spot and these ships will reach there. I would have actually preferred the adults, but unfortunately only these young ones came into that spot which I was trying for. So you get these whole rim lights because the sun is in the back. Red pandas from Singalila, another beautiful subject to shoot for. And then the snow leopards in Ladakh, Spiti, if you go in a winter. Today, the snow leopard tourism is quite increased. It is creating a lot of jobs locally. It is creating a lot of supporting a lot of economies locally. And they are done in quite a better planned way also. People are doing nowadays snow leopard tourism. So in winter, if you go for snow leopard tourism, it's amazing animal. It's called grey ghost of Himalayas. And it's really amazing animal to shoot and look for. So these were the habitats from India as such. I'm also showing you one habitat which is not from India just because of its colors, which is from Costa Rican forest, which is a tropical wilderness now. This is going to be my last session. So another 10-15 minutes and then we'll start the questions and answers. If any questions are there, I hope not, but if it's there, I am surely there to answer. So tropical wilderness is a very different, it's very new. We call it a neotropical wilderness, basically extreme biodiversity, specialized adaptations, stratified vegetation, constant climate. These are the different habitat structures you will get there. But they have a very beautiful animals, This is the tree frog, glass frog, and the flowers also, wildflowers. All things are colorful in the neotropic, in the South American forest. Then you have this poison dart frog. These are called blue jean frog because its legs are like you are wearing a blue jeans, and it's all around. The mushrooms are there, so we have also got, when you spend time, you get very different kind of action shots also of these all frogs. This is another butterfly from there. Very beautiful colors. These are different toucans. Very different birds, very colorful birds are there in South America. So that's a very different habitat in neotropical where you get a very colorful birds. Also maca. And then the hummingbirds are also quite a lot with the different varieties there. I went specifically for Costa Rica because I was interested in snakes. So this is the eyelash pit viper, orange form. These are alligators into the wetlands of Costa Rica. And this is the same eyelash pit viper, but it's a different color form called Christmas color form. And there is a golden eyelash pit viper is a one which I wanted to photograph. So this was photographed in Costa Rica. So when you go through all these whole different habitats, start shooting at witnessing different wildlife, different group of animals, flora, fauna, their interactions, so generally the whole personal journey, I want to repeat it, how it starts. It starts, with the macro beginnings, capturing intricate details. Then you to move to animal portraits, the beginning where the focus on individuals of any particular species. Then you expand your view and start doing environment and habitat shots. Then you can also do a wide angle storytelling where you don't shoot just a portrait, but the whole environment shot with wide angle. And then you go to the behavior or showing a very essence of that particular animal, like this Anamalai pit viper, yellow in color. You can show those colors only with the black background so much. So it was shot in that way. And then you can start shooting survival stories, portraying struggle, resilience, different adaptations. And in the end, I love nowadays shooting more is a fine art, which I'm showing you one picture taken at probably 10:30 or 11 o'clock when the light was very harsh in the Pench National Park, again the light of a black drongo with a complete, again this kind of black and white pictures you can get in the surrounding. This is a high key picture of a black drongo sitting on a completely leafless tree, so you can do this kind of fine arts. But one message which I want to give you all in the end is that when I started my photography 3 decades back, probably my camera was controlling me, how much lenses I had, what kind of camera I had, it was restricting my photography. But if you master your photography, you master your tools, then you can do much better photography. So uh, early phase, I was dependent, controlled by technology. Then I had a learning curves for many, many years where I kept adopting, experimenting, and evolving through my different technologies. Then technology as an extension of a vision. So mastery you need to get. So today's in a digital camera world, you need to master your camera as well as you need to master your processing techniques also. Without processing technique mastering, I don't think you'll be able to do a raw photography and then process it in the wild to show what you want to show. So I moved over the years from being guided by tools to using them deliberately, shaping every image with intention, not a random photography, but I try to do all my photography today with a specific intention. Thank you. We are open for question, Prema.
Thank you, sir. That was a wonderful, a very nice collection of images that you have. It was truly amazing the kind of habitats that you have covered, the kind of photography that's been done. As for, yeah, Regarding the questions now, I guess people can unmute themselves and ask you any question because there's none on the chat. So please, you can stop sharing now so that you will be able to see the participants also. So you can stop sharing now, sir. Yes. Yeah, I'll change the. Yes, Satish, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. So, Kedarji, it was a fantastic presentation. Amazing images that you have got. I think only place you have left is the moon. So, remaining everything you have captured.
Actually, I have not put that picture. If you go to Ladakh, there are 2, 3 places where the land looks like a moonland.
Yeah, yeah, I
You
have
get
been there.
animals on
Yeah.
them, so you can show it as an moonshot,
Yeah. So fantastic images, and some of them are rarest of the rare images that you have got. So,
Yeah.
being a wildlife photographer and landscape photographer, I know how difficult it is to capture animals in with landscape. So, fantastic presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
One question what I had was you showed the rock python in the initial stage, initial presentation that
Mm.
had consumed any big prey. So it
Which
was
one?
looking very huge.
Which one?
Uh, the rock python.
Rock python. No, actually, it's a very small animal which I had photographed because I photographed with a 14 wide angle. It looks a
Mm.
little larger than life.
But its stomach looks like it has consumed some this
I
thing or
don't
something.
know because it was moving quite well there, so
Okay.
it wasn't sitting there with something. Uh,
Yeah. Is
mm,
it? I have photographed few of the snakes. Of course, I am not a specialist like you, but an amateur in
mhm.
herpetology. But how difficult it is to, or how easy it is to photograph snakes from the front?
Depends on species. You need to know the behavior. Need to know the species,
Yeah.
and also many times you need a somebody who is with a stick staying
Mm.
around you. Or see, generally I have studied snakes and I have worked with snakes whole of my life nearly. So it's little easier for me to go near and shoot because I understand their behavior.
Correct.
But otherwise, you need to have somebody who understands snakes with you to go in the
Mm.
front and shoot them.
Yes.
So do you also handle snakes, sir, or are you just
For rescue and other efforts, I have handled snake in my life. For
hmm,
photography, in earlier first decade, first 10 years of my photography, the snake photography was all in a control environment where you catch a snake, keep it somewhere because it's very difficult to get a snake picture in a wild, you know.
hmm,
But that was when there was no picture of snakes at all. Today,
okay.
there are a lot of pictures of snakes. So last nearly
Hmm,
few years now, I have stopped handling snakes completely for photography. I try to shoot as it is in situ in wild as
hmm,
possible. Uh, I have done that before. So whenever whoever is done in this, like setting up a particular snake and taking a picture, my request to them is that always write below the picture that photograph in controlled environment. You know,
hmm.
so people understand that it's taken in a controlled
Yeah,
environment.
yeah, I guess that's important. True.
Yeah.
Yeah. And another thing, just like how there are poisonous snakes and you need to know their behavior and if you can handle them and or how close you can go, the same must be holding good for underwater photography also. There are so many creatures which could be very poisonous. And so how do you handle that? I mean, do you have, I mean, I don't know if it is possible to have a knowledge of all the creatures underwater. So how do you manage this?
So many times you get a local guide if you are in a new area,
Hmm.
particularly for underwater diving. You get a dive guide who understand all the animals in that area and
Okay.
know which spaces you have found. So again, you prepare your checklist what you want to shoot in a particular area and approach a guide. I want to shoot these animals. Will you be able to show it to me? For underwater, I am telling you.
Hmm.
But what you said is not only underwater. The carefulness is always with every animal, whether it's
Yeah,
above
of
ground,
course.
underwater,
Yeah.
whether it's snake, whether it's tiger. You have to be always be careful for welfare of that animal, welfare of yourself, and welfare of others around you.
Mm. Mm. Anybody else? Any questions? I think your explanation was so in detail that people have understood everything. It was really very well choreographed, the whole process of this presentation.
Thank you, Premaji.
That was very nice. Yeah. So, any questions? Let me just check if there's anything in the chat now. Okay. Mm. No, there's
I
a lot
think,
of praise for this one actually.
I think
There's a lot of praise on the chat and no
I think I
questions
made this
really.
faster. I hope Satishji had stopped me much before. I was going quite fast.
No, it was
No, it
correct.
was
Actually, it
yeah.
was good, but only some 3-4 slides you went very fast.
Okay. Okay.
That's where I asked you. Otherwise,
Okay.
everything was okay. And that
Otherwise,
particular
it's kept as
picture,
oh,
yeah, that particular picture of Kiang with the Hanley landscape was
Yeah.
fantastic one. In
Yeah.
fact, all the tonal values and all those
Yes.
details are so fantastic in that.
So Ladakh, particularly in the winter, Satishji, you get some amazing light. Little not so harsh light like you get in summer.
yeah.
Correct.
In the winter, you get some amazing light in Ladakh.
Supposing if you get, if the sun opens up, that is luck and you'll
No,
get
no,
amazing
from the
images.
time it opens up. Don't worry.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
I spend at least every time I go, I spend 2 weeks. So I get enough time.
2 weeks.
Oh, okay. Mr. Sangram
Yeah,
wants to
Mr.
ask some.
Sangram, yeah, he has something to say. Please unmute
Amazing
yourself, sir.
presentation,
Go
sir.
ahead.
Absolutely amazing
Thanks,
presentation.
Akram. Thanks.
Yes. And ma'am, I just wanted to say that Mr. Keshwa has some question in the chat box. Maybe sir can answer.
Uh, Thank you, Mr. Keshav.
He's asking which gear you use
Which
for
gear you
underwater.
use most for underwater? Yeah.
Oh, I am using still my old Canon Mark III, with the underwater housing by CNC and with all kind of macro and wide angle lenses with 2 strobe lights of CNC.
Okay.
And which is
Sorry.
your preferred place for underwater photography?
You can go to Andaman, you can go to Lakshadweep, you can go to Bali Island. There are many. Thailand have a lot of beautiful spots. Philippines has a lot of beautiful spots. But in India, Havelock Island in Andaman and Lakshadweep are best.
Yeah. But there are not many people doing underwater photography, I guess. There are very few
No, there are
of them
many
doing
people are
that
doing
way.
underwater photography now.
Now, is
Many,
it?
many
Okay.
great and good underwater photographers in India. I am not that great in underwater yet.
The pictures were good.
Yeah, but those were macro pictures most of. I have not done yet the wide angle underwater shots.
Hmm. Yeah, I think we had we also had an underwater presentation by Mr. Nandakumar,
Yeah, Nanda is
who
really.
had,
Yeah.
he had done a lot of wide angle ones.
Yeah.
Right, I know, amazing pictures they were.
Yeah, Nanda has an amazing collection.
Yeah. I know. Anyway, it's an interesting thing, and like you said, maybe because it's something so different, a lot of people must be going in for underwater photography
Yeah.
also now. That's there. I
What
know.
happened generally, those
And
who do underwater photography doesn't do much, above the ground, and they are concentrating on underwater photography. So what you said was right. If you take, there are only few photographers who does all high altitude underwater, in between.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
there are few photographers does all genres.
Yeah. And that's what I was appreciating about your pictures was right from the top of the world to the, underground, to the netherworld, I should say. So that kind of coverage, very few people do everything.
Yeah.
So that is something amazing. Yeah. Wonderful.
So there is another
Yes.
question from Mr. Murthy. Yes, underwater housing is as expensive as your camera. But you create underwater cameras also, or many times even a GoPro also works. So first start doing with direct underwater small cameras or a GoPro cameras. You need to be a really good scuba diver to start photographing. So
But I'm curious to know if when you're doing underwater photography, do you use the viewfinder or are you using the LCD screen most of the time too?
both.
Both, is it?
Yeah, both.
I see. Uh-huh. Okay, sir. Then if there are no more questions, there's one more question.
If you are
Well,
done,
from Mr. BB Prakash, he says, "Have you done scuba in
Netrani,
Netrani
not yet. Every
Islands?"
time I plan for it, something happens and I have to cancel it. So not yet.
Is it? I see. Uh-huh. Well, there seem to be a lot of places you can do underwater photography in India itself.
Yes, Netrani is a really good place. I wanted to go for a long
Mhm.
time. But
Hmm.
sometimes, you know what happened, whatever is the closest, hardly go there.
Yes, yes. You go to all corners of the world, but then, backyard
Yeah,
becomes.
yeah. But
That's
I
true.
think,
We hope.
thank you, Mr. Prakash. You have motivated me to go to Netrani now this year.
Yeah.
Let me go there now.
So, yeah. So hopefully we'll have some good underwater pictures from that
Yeah, hope.
place and whichever other this one for another presentation. And thank you so much, sir. So if there are no more this one, I think we can close the presentation. Thanks
Thank you
once
for
again, and
listening.
we hope to have you on other days also showing us your amazing pictures.
Sure. Thank you, Satish ji, for all inviting me.
Our pleasure, and
Sure.
we are so happy to see you again. And we saw fantastic images.
Thank you, Satish.
You made my day. Thank you so
You
much.
made my day on Saturday, so it's thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
Bye. Have a good day.
All right. Thank you, sir. Yeah.
Good day to you.